Welcome to the quietest ones in the room with your host, Trey. I gotta say it, just the mere fact that you have clicked onto this video and you are listening to the sound of my voice, you by far are the most intelligent people on the face of the planet. So once again, thank you for joining me. The clown of the day has arrived once again. It's an individual that I had to discuss after seeing a video on YouTube of him talking about renting versus owning a home. The great debate. His name is Peter Schiff. Maybe you know of him from his videos on YouTube, talking to you about the greatest investment you can make right now, today, is buying gold. Maybe you know him from the video back in 2008 when he presented himself as being a part of the 1%, and he went there during Occupy Wall Street, the protest, and debated groups of people. And it did take off. It actually kind of gave him some notoriety back then. But we're far removed from that time. And since then, Peter Schiff has been an individual who over and over and over again has been calling for a collapse that has never happened. I am amazed as to how many people still pay him any attention regarding his economic predictions. He's the old man who cries wolf. And so I saw him in a video recently, and he was being interviewed by two young investors. And he got into a conversation about renting. And he started saying that the best thing you can do is rent, and that renting was better than owning a home. Now, this debate has been going on for some time, obviously. You can look up the numbers yourself. Renting has gone up in the last decade, and everybody knows it has. If you've been renting for the last decade, you know that your rent costs have gone up. It's been about a 40 to 50% increase in rent. We also know that mortgages have gone up in the last 10 years by about 100%. But to compare renting and owning is not really fair. They're two different situations. See, as a former renter and now a homeowner, I now understand the major differences. Renting has its benefits, and owning a home has its benefits. Renting allows you flexibility in that if something occurs where you reside, it's on the landlord. But you're beholden to the landlord in terms of how good they are as a landlord. Maybe they fix things quickly, or maybe they fix things slowly. Maybe they're a pain in the ass, or maybe they're really, really great to work with. Maybe they don't increase your rent year over year by large amounts, or maybe they do. Maybe it's a landlord that gives you more time than you'd ever want, or maybe it's one of those landlords that you've been enjoying yourself at this place, has been very convenient, and the rate has been phenomenal, but now they need to move you out so they can move a relative in. There's so many things that can happen when you're renting and you have a landlord versus when you are owning. You're putting money into pretty much an account. Like, I think of owning a home as, yes, if you didn't pay cash for your home and you have a mortgage, you're paying your lender, and over time, as your home grows in value, You're building equity. And if you ever needed to tap into that equity, it's almost like a savings account, you could eventually do so. But the great thing about owning a home is if you want to paint the house every day, you can do that. You can paint the interior of your home every day if you decided to. If you wanted to renovate something in your home every day, you can do that. You can do whatever you want to do to your home if you own it. And you can build value that you could eventually tap into if you have children and you want to pay for their college, or if you have your retirement coming up and you need to do some things as far as maybe downsizing. You can do so many things as it pertains to pulling that value out when you need it with a home. Another great thing with a home is that if you ever decided you wanted to move, you can rent it out. And so what Peter Schiff is talking about is what I understand is going on in our economy, which is we have these really, really rich people, these wealthy individuals who have multiple homes, and they're investors. And them and their buddies, they are part of investment groups that buy homes, build apartment complexes, and they need tenants. They need people to go to work every day and live in their properties so that they can continue to get wealthy. See, renting isn't bad, but it's also a form of throwing your money away depending on the situation you're in. I understand. I've been a renter before, and I understand you can be in a situation where you're saving a lot depending on where you live and what your arrangement is with the landlord. But with the friends and family that I talk to nowadays, the price of rent is phenomenal. But getting a mortgage on a home with these interest rates, the mortgages are high. So I think that everyone has to take their personal situation into account and determine what is best for them in the moment. If you're single, renting seems perfect. But also if you're single and you want to buy a home, it can be perfect. If you have a family and kids, having stability in the form of owning a home is perfect. But then it could also be a nightmare if the mortgage is too high. Or if you purchase a home in an area that isn't set up as far as your safety for your children and yourself, there are too many things that need to be considered when you're discussing your personal finances and what you want for your life versus just something as simple as rent until you die. The Grant Cardones, the Peter Schiff, on and on and on and on. These people are saying you should rent, but they benefit. They're part of the investment groups that benefit from you renting. And we've talked about it so many times. The wealthy don't lose. They find ways over and over again to suck the income out of your hard work. And they want you to rent. They want you to live a life where you don't own anything, but you are indebted to them as they continually provide the credit to your life, but it only benefits them. So it's something to consider. I think that Peter Schiff, like I said, everything he says, is it crazy? No, I think over time he said some things that should be paid attention to. He's not completely crazy. But I will say, I personally think that he's wrong in this situation. He is discounting the fact that there are many people, it would serve them best if they bought a home. And I hate the idea that in his mind, you are never owed anything. I mean, many of us start working at a very young age and we're paying our taxes. And for Peter to say things like, oh, a minimum wage, there should be no minimum wage. You're not owed a minimum wage. What is he talking about? So you shouldn't have any types of protections. Oh, the interest rates that you guys got during the pandemic, you shouldn't have that interest rate. He's so anti-government. It's amazing to me. But I guarantee if somebody broke into his home, he'd be calling the cops. I bet you if someone stole from him, he'd want to get the law involved, the government involved. So I think he, in a lot of ways, says things that are catchy to get people to pay attention to him so he can sell his books, so he can sell how you should buy gold and he benefits from it. So he can tell you to rent and you land maybe into some of his rental properties. There's so many ways in which he can make money off of you. But this thing of him selling economic collapse over and over and over and over and over and over again is bullshit. And he needs to be ignored for it. So anyway, maybe you know Peter Schiff, maybe you don't. But I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Should everybody rent? Should everybody follow the so-called American dream and buy a home? Are you listening and you've decided, you know what? I'm going to be a renter until the day I die. Everyone's different. But I want to know your thoughts in the comment section. Please like, please share, and subscribe. And as always, until next time.